Hi, this is George Nemeth, and I'm here with my friend Larry Stewart. And today Larry brought a list of the books that he's been working on. And so I want to ask him to at least go through just hit the list first, because I would like to ask you about the summary of each, and particularly a story that I'm editing right now called Hitchin. Larry, thank you for bringing the list. Could you read the list and tell me just read the list for me. Tell me how many books you're working on.
I'm working on a total of 10. Various stages of rewrite at this time. Chasing Dreams is the first. Well, actually, not Chasing Dreams. Let's go with Puppy Love. Puppy Love.
Let me stop you right there, though, because Chasing Dreams is actually the first book that you self-published, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll start off with Chasing Dreams. That's I just self-published that book about 4 or 5 months ago, and Chasing Dreams is about a guy just recently married, and he thinks his bride wants to live in luxury, and so he sets out on a mission to get this woman living in luxury like she's accustomed to, and he starts working 5 days a week, 12 hours a day. A little shortly later, he's working 7 days a week, about 15 hours a day, and he's ignoring her. He's unintentionally ignoring her. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He is focused on becoming a millionaire by the time he's 25. She subtly tells him that it's not working. I need you home, at least on the weekends.
Sure.
We don't go water skiing anymore. We don't go snow skiing anymore. We don't go camping anymore. The marriage is not working. He doesn't listen to her because he's absorbed in money, and it's all about greed. And towards the middle of the book, it just doesn't work, and it's the crash of a marriage.
So let me stop you right there, because I would like to do one of these videos just about that and talk about your experiences as well as the book more, because one of the things that has sort of frustrated you is being able to get the exposure that the book needs or wants. So let's pause there, and you started talking about the book that you're currently working on, which is Puppy Love. So let's talk about that for a little bit. What's kind of the story summary with that?
The summary, I guess, is a coming-of-age book where the protagonist enters high school. It takes place in the 50s. And pretty much in the 50s, as I recall, guys only talked about 3 or 4 things. Cars was number 1. Sports was number 2. Music, number 3. 4 was girls. That's, as I recall, what kids talked about in high school.
Which I think one of the important things about this book is I think it hits on a lot of universal themes, right? That's what a lot of people's experience was growing up in the 50s and 60s. It sounds very similar to, my father, who's not quite as old as you, but pretty darn close. Which, again, so one of the things that I want to do is get through all the books and a little plot summary of that. So far we have Chasing Dreams and Puppy Love. What would be number 3 that you've been working on?
Bacchanalian Romp.
And we've talked about that one, and that one's not the music one, is it?
Bacchanalian Romp becomes, at the end of the book, a play. In New York, they're pushing the play to get into what do they call New York? The Big Apple. Yeah.
So what are the major themes in that one? Would you say kind of like in Puppy Love, it was these 4 things?
Well, if you've seen the movie Animal House, that's I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie,
and that's what I was trying to not duplicate, but similar, because I experienced my life.
Tell your own story.
In the college days, that's why I love the film so much, because it reminded me of my college days. And
so, where in Bacchanalian Romp, these stories you've been working on for a while, right? How far along is Bacchanalia Romp?
Pretty tight.
Okay,
Pretty tight. Still needs work.
Right.
Still needs work. But I think I need another eye.
I'm happy to do that, Larry, because I'm enjoying. So let's go to Hitchin right now. And again, I want to do a completely separate video about Hitchin, but at least talk about the summary of it and that process. So that would be the 4th book, Hitchin.
Hitchin.
Yeah. So what's going on in Hitchin? What are the major themes? Tell me about that.
It's just two people hooking up, a guy and a girl, hooking up in Rome. She's an art major. He's a whatever. He's just going through. He's just finished a pretty nasty, ugly divorce. So he actually is escaping from this situation to Europe to see the world.
Sure.
So he fortunately hooks up with somebody who is quite pretty. She's a young hippie. She's a singer, kind of has a voice like Joni Mitchell.
Yep. She seems talented.
She's
yeah.
packing a Martin D23 guitar.
She's very likable as a character, for sure.
And she has her own issues that he is discovering every day. Issues.
And again, I think that's sort of the fascinating thing as I read it is you can't run away from your problems. You have to face up to them, because even if you escape to Europe and hook up with a hippie and start hitching around Europe, you still show up with your own baggage, right? And again, the story is really kind of about the dynamic between two people as they're getting to know each other in this particular setting. So Hitchin is going to be a great book. Look for it. So what would the 5th book be on your list?
Yeah, Cross Country Honeymoon, I think, would make a great book. If you've seen or read, I can't think of the book, it's not coming to me right now for some reason, but it's about a couple of guys taking off around the United States.
Road movies are a huge part of...
You mentioned the word road.
Yeah. Well, so my favorite road, let's go back to Hunter S. Thompson, because that seems to be, I mean, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is really kind of a road movie, right? It's about the two, Hunter and his lawyer going to Las Vegas and all these sorts of misadventures that they have. But kind of to your point, there's lots of books like that. There's, lots of movies that have been made, but it really is about the story and how you tell the story. So where are you at with that book? Is it...
Well, this is I think everybody goes through this. Wanting to see the United States, wanting to see the country, and then discovering and learning. They don't know anything. They're from California. They don't know anything about prejudice until they get to the South and they discover prejudice.
Right.
And the female protagonist refers to the slaves as domestic help. The male protagonist refers to them as slaves.
Right.
So they become, and they discover. It's all about discovery. They're discovering the United States.
Yeah. And again, they're discovering each other.
She finds out that he doesn't want store-bought souvenirs. He wants something that's grabbable.
Yeah.
That's takeable. That's from that particular state. So it starts out, and when they reach Arizona, and he sees the sign, Angel Trail or something like that.
Yeah.
He says, stops the car, and he says, I want that sign.
Most people would be happy to take a picture of it, but
she says no.
Right.
This is a national park. It's a federal offense. You can't do that. You can't take that sign. And he said, anyway, he talks her into it. So that's the first object he steals. But on this journey across the United States, every state they get to, he steals something.
Wow.
The President Johnson plaque from the state of Texas that he rips off his childhood home. Finally, he's able to talk her into ripping off something. She steals Sambo, whatever, Mambo, Sambo, and whatever, I can't remember.
He talks her into stealing something, though, is the point.
Right.
All right, there's still a couple more books on your list, and so I want to get to those, and we're right about the 10-minute mark. So let's. What else do you have there?
Oh, Savage Bombardment of the Zany Summer Games.
Oh, is that the one about the pirate ship and everything?
Yes, that's a sailing adventure.
Yeah.
That how they meet at the Fillmore Auditorium, and after.
Let me pause you right there, though, because again, one of the fascinating things about your stories is where they're set. Right? They're set in your lifetime, and they're set mostly, particularly this one, in with some sort of historic connection, like the Fillmore or something like that. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's okay.
No,
I only wrote that particular chapter as how the four people connect to get to Europe, get the boat, and set out.
Right.
There are talks about maybe we should avoid this place. Why are we going? There are talks about pirates in the early stages of when they set out on their journey. And to make it, it's an adventure story. Sailing in the water until they encounter the pirates. They see the pirate.
Let me pause you right there, though, because I don't want this video to be too long, and I want to get to the other. Okay. There's one more book, is that right?
Oh.
But it sounds exciting, and I can't wait to read that one.
Knightly Deeds of Chivalry and Folly needs a lot of work. It's an adventure story that takes place in England at a famous Sherwood Forest, and it's a bunch of guys and girls actually on horseback with lances in knightly games. And gets a little hairy. It needs a lot of work. There's another book, Second Chance, needs a lot of work. Samba Mania takes place at Carnival in Brazil.
Ah, okay.
And it's another adventure story, Samba Mania.
And so let's wrap up the video, because again, I'm looking forward to talking to you more about these books.
There's one more.
Okay, go ahead.
Trucking in Nepal.
This is one I haven't heard about, so I didn't know that it was another book.
It's just trekking to Mount Everest. Not to get to the summit of Mount Everest, but just to get there.
Right. And which is an adventure in itself.
It's an adventure. He has a Sherpa guide. The protagonist has a Sherpa guide, and they set out, just he and the guide. And it's what he encounters along the journey to Base Camp 2.
Cool. So let me just turn the camera around so it's pointing at me, and hopefully it's kind of centered on me. I'm looking forward to working with Larry. The title of the series is Writing with Larry. I just wanted to mention, if you're in the Bay Area, Larry and I are going to be reading next week at the Dove and Olive Works about 7:30. We talked about it, and we're going to pick a chapter from his book Hitchin, which is the book that I'm reading and editing a little bit right now. He's such a good writer, he doesn't need a whole lot of editing. Thanks a lot, Larry.